artists, like, they can't just say they're thinking about it. They have to do this whole, like, well, I'm not thinking about it, but some other guy will be thinking about it if hypothetically, you know, what the f are you talking about? Well, anyway, the whole point here is that Pete Buttigieg is making a compelling case for, dare I say it, abundance liberalism. Nah, not abundance liberalism. Liberalism as a vehicle for freedom, you know, like the party of choice, right? Obviously, Republicans are deeply authoritarian. So, you know, you're not really getting much more freedom in your life. They don't really open many opportunities for people. And so the cycle begins again. Yup! We're never escaping the cycle of samsara. They'll never be able to deliver on this shit, man.
And you don't have to think for one moment about whether the air you breathe or the water you drink is clean and clear, which actually takes a lot because it means the government has to constrain those actors that would make you unfree by polluting the air and polluting the water. And then when you go to bed, I want you to know that your family's going to be fine, even if it's family like mine, despite there being some Supreme Court justice who wants to obliterate your family because it doesn't match his interpretation of his religion. Like, that's the life I want everybody to be able to live.
Yeah, I think
we can deliver that.
That's fine.
Unfortunately, like, we are caught in the cycle. The comedian on the podcast main argument was that Democrats should have a big alluring promise to solve things like build the wall, even if it wouldn't actually work. Well, the problem with this comedian is that he's an idiot, and like a lot of other idiots, rather than wanting to fix things, he just wants to be part of like a big rally so they can all say, "Oorah," while they pretend they're fixing a problem, but the problem doesn't actually get fixed. So we shouldn't listen to people like that. Like, one of the big problems we're dealing with in this country is that there are a lot of people like that, like subliterate, you know, motherfuckers who like drag the discourse down and don't understand anything and don't want solutions. They just want to feel like they're cool for participating in them. He's not like we shouldn't be appealing to his mindset. We should be trying to pull people out of his mindset. We're never going to be able to out stupid narrative Republicans or fascists or whatever. I'm sorry, it's not possible. Like, they're as stupid narrative as it gets. You're contradicting your own earlier comment, Vosh. Okay, bold opening to a statement, especially for adding me. You're risking 30 days on this one. You often say that people want narratives and fantasies, not actual solutions to things. I think people want narratives and fantasies. I just don't want them to want stupid narratives and fantasies. The problem is that for a guy like this, the like desire to be part of a narrative solution has nothing to do with the actual solution. What I'm saying is you need a narrative to channel the existing solution, right? You can't just let it ride with a technocratic solution that doesn't energize people, you know? You need a narrative that captures people's interest, that holds their interest, that riles them up. But this guy ain't about that, because he's literally like, you know, oh, well, it doesn't even matter if it works or whatever. You just need to give a big rally, do a big oorah. You're not gonna, like, there needs to be a connection to reality is what I'm saying. There needs to be some tether to the material. 3-hour podcast, man. You know what? Give me a little taste. Give me a little taste.
Advertisement.
Yeah, they're basically saying if you pay, have faith that it will get fixed.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay,
I'm saying that
I back off.
I'm saying if people don't see the results, especially we're coming along saying like, okay, everybody's gonna have to like pay into this. They're gonna say, well, fuck off. I'm not seeing the results. Yeah. Right.
Were Pete's eyes always this blue? Maybe it's the beard. Maybe it's the contrast on his face. I feel like he's got. Yes. He looks different. Maybe it is the beard.
Now, I think that's a nuanced story, because the best results sometimes, especially when you're in safety, you know, my kind of a big part of my job, it wasn't just building, it was transportation, right? A big part of the results is what doesn't happen. Right. Good, bad things that don't happen.
You don't notice your school being good, you just notice when it's bad.
Yeah, and you don't notice your road being smooth, you just notice when there's a pothole in it, right? And you don't notice when an airplane doesn't crash, and you don't notice when you have clean, safe drinking water. By the way, that's okay, like that's the point. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about whether your drinking water.
I really do fear a future where this guy wins the presidency, man. I feel like that might be the long-term worst case scenario. We could get like another Obama situation. We're never escaping. We're never escaping. The wheel keeps on rolling. Yeah, maybe we really are at the end of history. Yeah, maybe the end of history is just rolling 4-year cycles of fascism and neoliberalism. A friend of mine feels the same way. The terrifying thing about Pete Buttigieg, and I think most of you would agree with this, is that he's very smart. That's the worst thing. There are a lot of neoliberals who might be able to, like, you know, sort of take over a sinking ship and try to steer it, but things end up like the material conditions end up worsening anyway. I think Pete actually could turn things around for a bit. And that's the worst part. He'd be able to hold it together long enough. He'd be able to like prolong the worsening. It's very, very dangerous, you know? He could be so much more. Well, yeah, if he was a socialist or even a social democrat, but he's not. He can talk about freedom as much as he wants, man, but we know what ideology he represents. How much more freedom was there in your life between 2008 and 2016? Okay, ACA got passed. All right, granted. We got a compromise bill. We got a compromise bill that brought us a fraction of the way towards the baseline for like every other developed country. What's worse, Obama or Buttigieg, in your opinion? I don't know. Different circumstances, different time periods. Is he neoliberal? Yes, very much so. Yes. It's possible he doesn't believe in anything and he might shift his positions a little more social democratic, like in a insincere effort to meet the changing historical moment, but I don't know. Do you still hate Jon Stewart? I didn't say I hate Jon Stewart. I just think that he's demonstrated some political tendencies that are not acceptable in this moment. But like, what? You cancel culture, motherfuckers. It's not 2015 anymore. Okay? Hate Jon Stewart. I could get behind a Buttigieg presidency, though. Yeah, that's because you're running on the wheel of samsara. You don't even realize it's a wheel. You're so short-sighted, you don't see the curve on the floor you're running on. You think you're running down a straight track. You think eventually you're going to reach the finish line. You don't understand that you keep rolling around and around and around. There's a carrot hanging in front of you, except you're never catching it.
Right. Clean.
Yeah.
Because if you did, you wouldn't be able to worry about whatever else matters to you in life.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody can argue that the American taxpayer has gotten their money's worth.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of reasons for that. Part of it is, though, that we underinvest. And we underinvest not because that the overall tax rates are too low. I don't think that most people should be paying more in taxes. I do think certain people should be paying much more in taxes. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get to like the giant multi-billion-dollar corporation that figures out a way to do their books and pay zero.
Yep.
Right?
And then brag about it.
Fine.
Why is Warren Buffett bragging about it?
Well, I mean, it's look,
legit though. Who is the sauce? Well, Pete Buttigieg has the sauce to be president. At least he will soon. He's building up to it. He's charging his power or whatever. But I don't want him to be president. So what are we hoping for? Bernie to run again? I don't know. Hoping for a miracle, I guess. We'll see about AOC. I don't know. Something amazing, I guess. Me too, kid. Me too.
Tell him to pay up. Why the like don't?
But we can't. You can't blame him for using the rules of the system.
I actually like him calling attention to.
I find
because
that
if they don't, if the whole capitalist system,
everyone here is very well dressed. You seeing what I'm seeing? We got some good looks in here. I like that.
Because if they don't, if the whole capitalist system, for good and for ill, is that if you don't play that to your advantage, somebody else will, and they will beat you, right? So instead of
is the main issue with Pete that he's like pro-establishment? I'm not understanding the position here. There are two problems with Pete. The first one is that he doesn't believe in anything. He's very like markedly insincere, and you know that if you follow him. Like if you're familiar with how he is in his career, he doesn't believe in anything, which is a serious issue when you need to believe something to combat the times here. But the second problem is that like in lieu of having personal sincere beliefs, he defaults towards the neoliberal position. And I'm not even talking about the bread fixing or whatever, or even like his previous run or his previous positions. He talks about freedom, right? Like what the Democrats want is for you to have more choice, more options, but everyone is getting strangled by capital, right? Like more and more wealth is getting siphoned out of society into the hands of the ultra wealthy. It's getting sucked up into private equity. It's getting sucked up into Wall Street, you know? Less and less wealth is circulating among the people who actually live and breathe, and more of it's sitting in bank accounts and options and offshore accounts and so on and so forth, right? And he will do nothing about that. Like, we're dealing with a fundamental existential crisis of global civilization, and it's the relationship between the global economy and the average person. And that is the reason why we are where we are right now with Trump, right? Like Trump didn't happen out of nowhere. Ennui about the decaying status quo alongside oligarchs backing Trump because they benefit from having a, reckless, egotistical, megalomaniacal sociopath.